Hey everybody, it's John Hope Bryant, founder, chairman, and chief executive officer of Operation Hope, also Bryant Group Ventures, author of Love Leadership, The New Way of Leading in a Fear-Based World, a bestseller, and How the Poor Can Save Capitalism, also a bestseller, and I put all the tools in the links in the introduction to this video to make it easy for everybody. This is going to be a really important message, and I want you to tell all your friends about it. We've got over 2.5 million views to this Straight Talk Civil Rights series that I'm doing, and I'm convinced we have a movement, right? But we got to get over the naysayers and the haters and the cynics. We don't need to convince everybody. We won't. In fact, you cannot have a movement where you don't have people who are against you. That's the whole nature of a movement, and you cannot grow without constructive friction. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. really only had 20% of the black community support. Little known fact. He only had about 20% of the white community support. Little known fact. Most people were either against him or quiet. Just said nothing, right? And in order for evil to succeed, good people sit on their hands and say nothing. So I want to give good people some ammunition to be bold and courageous today. And I want to really challenge folks who are not really bad folks. They just need a reason to be good, right? Because they have nothing but almost PTSD, almost like post-traumatic stress disorder, telling them why everything's wrong in their life and nothing will work, and racism will debilitate you, and there's always these obstacles that keep you from where you need to go, and they really believe that. And I think that if I give them, and you also encourage them in your comments, push back when you see some silliness, give them some reason to believe in a new season, that they'll come around. And then you're going to have just some fools, people who just, no matter what you say, are just don't bother me with the facts. I've already made up my mind. Okay. And all that's cool, right? As I keep saying, it's okay if you don't like me. I like me. Okay? So thank you, Juanita Smith, for giving me high self-esteem. She told me she loved me every day of my life. Nothing's more powerful for a child than a mother or a father telling them they are loved. So even though I grew up in Compton, California, and South Central LA, I do acknowledge that I had this unique gift from my mother who told me she loved me every day of my life. And if I was going to be part of a gang, it's going to be Juanita Smith's gang. I was more afraid of her than I was afraid of the dudes down the street. Tweet next door, the local gangster, who unfortunately got killed with my best friend because they didn't get the memo that I'm about to give you today. They just decided that life was unfair, and they were going to go take theirs, and then whatever goes around comes around. And so Tweet, who was a local thug, and George, who was my best friend, who was actually a straight-A student. George didn't have high self-esteem, didn't have good role models, and wouldn't listen to common sense, and didn't have a mother and a dad like I had, unfortunately, and Tweet took him out, right? So I'm gonna try to save every George I can find, because I think about George every week. Okay, so let me jump into this and be very precise. No more excuses. So I did a video. This is going to be real radical, and I'm going to upset some people, and I'm sure we'll get some interesting comments. I did a video in response to Roland Martin's interview I did in D.C. I did one, and it was called, The New Form of Slavery, I think is what it was called. It's gotten I think almost 300,000 views, certainly over 250,000. Tons of comments, tons of shares, most of them positive, 5% knuckleheads, just calling me all kind of names, whatever. Okay. So they say, basically the argument, if you want to boil down all the naysayers, no, not the naysayers, I handle it, the knuckleheads were, you're a coon, you're an Uncle Tom, you're a sellout, you don't get it, this is racism, right? These are mostly African-American men. This is racism, and, the whole system is rigged, and we can't succeed because of 300 years of slavery and all this kind of stuff. And you know what? You're partly right. Because whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're right. Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're absolutely right. Life is 10% what life does to you, and 90% how you choose to respond to it. All I'm asking you in this whole series is what's your response going to be? I'm not denying you your pain. I'm not denying you that racism is real. I'm not denying you that slavery was the most abominable, disgusting, horrible thing ever to be visited upon mankind. And I'm not denying that African American slavery in America was the worst form of slavery on top of slavery in general. And I'm not denying that until 1970, this basically a version of this went on, Jim Crow basically. So for 300 years, you've been told you ain't nothing. I get it. And I understand there's remnants of that today. And all that's real. But that's not my question to you. My question to you is, if you say that racism is this, and because of the color of your skin, you cannot succeed, and I see all the comments, by the way, I'm going to respond to them before I finish here, and you can't succeed because the white man's done this, the institution's done that, and the government's against you, and because of the color of your skin, you can't do anything. That's essentially, fundamentally, I'm going to become and as a result of that, I'm going to become a black nationalist, I'm going to check out of this thing, everything is, and I can rob, pillar, and steal, whatever I want to do, because none of the system works for me. Okay, here's my question to you. What about the Ethiopians who come to this country? They're black. They look just like you. What about the Nigerians who come to this country? They're black, look just like you. What about the black Africans from 54 countries who come here with not a dime in their pocket and within 10 years are owning businesses, right? And I mean, I can't go to a hotel in Washington, D.C. and not have my Ethiopian brothers all over me like a cheap suit. I mean, they got that whole situation on lockdown. They work from the busboy all the way up to management, and they hooked each other up, but one of them went and just got a job. But I mean, they just came from Ethiopia. You've been here your whole life. Yo, generations have been. Dr. King died. My mentor, Ambassador Andrew Young, died. Malcolm X, if you want to cite him, died so that you could have freedom. And what do we do with it is my question. We just throw it away.